What does the Bible say about homosexuality? My intention behind this video is to warn people who are committing this sin or those who agree that it is right to practice these things. I do not agree with homosexuality since the Bible condemns it, and I will not be afraid to tell people what I believe. Every person has a right to say what they believe in, and just because I don't agree with the LGBTQ community does not mean it is hate speech. In Ezekiel 3 verse 18 it says, "When I say to the wicked, you shall surely die, and you give him no warning, nor speak to warn the wicked from his wicked way, to save his life, that same wicked man shall die in his iniquity, but his blood I will require at your hand." Here on the slide are verses that show Yahuwah is against homosexuality. Leviticus 18 verse 22, you shall not lie with a male as with a woman, it is an abomination. Leviticus 20 verse 13, if a man lies with a male as he lies with a woman, both of them have committed an abomination. They shall surely be put to death, their blood shall be upon them. Yahuwah calls it an abomination, which is a very strong word to use. This just shows how much Yahuwah hates this sin. Synonyms for abomination are hatred, revulsion, disgust, disgrace, horror, distaste, etc. In Corinthians 6 verse 9 to 10 it says, "Do you not know that the unrighteous will not inherit the kingdom of Yahuwah? Do not be deceived. Neither fornicators, nor adulterers, nor idolaters, nor homosexuals, nor sodomites, nor thieves, nor covetous, nor drunkards, nor revilers, nor extortioners will inherit the kingdom of Yahuwah." In Romans 1 verse 27, likewise also the men, leaving the natural use of the women, burned in their lust for one another, men with men, committing what is shameful, and receiving in themselves the penalty of their error which was due. Genesis 5 verse 2, he created them male and female, and blessed them, and called them mankind in the day they were created. Genesis 2 verse 24, therefore a man shall leave his father and his mother, and be joined to his wife, and they shall become one in flesh. Yahweh does not say a man and a man, or a woman and a woman can become one in flesh, and that is because it is not natural. We are not made this way, and that is why homosexuality is condemned in the Torah, and nowhere in the Bible does Yahweh say it is right to commit this sin. Jude 1 verse 7, as Sodom and Gomorrah and the cities around them in a similar manner to these, having given themselves over to sexual immorality and gone after strange flesh, are set forth as an example, suffering the vengeance of eternal fire. The reason Sodom and Gomorrah was destroyed was because of the people's sin. If you read Leviticus, you will see that homosexuality is also included under the sins of sexual immorality, and that is a big reason why Sodom and Gomorrah was destroyed. Not only those who practice these things will be judged, but also those that accept and approve of homosexuality. This is shown in Romans 1 verse 28 to 32. And even as they did not like to retain Yahuwah in their knowledge, Yahuwah gave them over to a debased mind, to do those things which are not fitting, being filled with all unrighteousness, sexual immorality, wickedness, covetousness, maliciousness, full of envy, murder, strife, deceit, evil-mindedness. They are whisperers, backbiters, haters of Yahuwah, violent, proud, boasters, inventors of evil things, disobedient to parents, undiscerning, untrustworthy, unloving, unforgiving, unmerciful, who knowing the righteous judgment of Yahuwah, that those who practice such things are deserving of death, not only do the same, but also approve of those who practice them. I saw something interesting in this verse when I read it. It said in this sentence, haters of Yahuwah, violent, proud. And pride is also a big theme in the LGBTQ community. They are all proud of their sin, and they have an entire month to celebrate it. They are basically mocking Yahuwah by celebrating these things. Some of you might not agree and would say that you do not have to obey these commandments anymore since Yahushua did away with them when he died on the cross. I've said this before in other videos, but I will say it again. Yahushua did not do away with the commandments. Yahuwah still expects us to obey them, and not only the 10 commandments, but also the others in Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Deuteronomy, and Numbers. On this slide, I've put verses that support this argument. Leviticus 18 verse 26. You shall therefore keep my statutes and my judgments, and shall not commit any of these abominations, either any of your own nation, or any stranger who dwells among you. Leviticus 19 verse 37. Therefore you shall observe all my statutes and all my judgments, and perform them. I am Yahuwah. Leviticus 20 verse 26. And you shall be holy to me, for I, Yahuwah, am holy, and have separated you from the peoples, that you should be mine. Leviticus 24 verse 22. You shall have the same law for the stranger and for one of your own country, for I am Yahuwah, your Elohim. This shows that anyone who wants a relationship with Yahuwah and wants to be his child should also keep his statutes and laws. It is not just for the Israelites, but also for those that want to be his children. Deuteronomy 4 verse 2. You shall not add to the word which I command you, nor take from it, that you may keep the commandments of Yahuwah, your Elohim, which I command you. Christians that approve of homosexuality are rejecting Yahuwah's laws and taking away from his commandments, just like this verse says. They are basically picking and choosing which laws they want to keep, and that is not acceptable. I mean, this is the same the same with the unclean animals that Christians believe they are allowed to eat, and now the homosexuality. More and more churches are accepting this sin, which only poisons the roots further. There are more verses for those who reject Leviticus altogether and still think that any commandments in the Old Testament are done away with. Out of Yahushua's own mouth came these words: Do not think I came to destroy the law or the prophets. I did not come to destroy, but to fulfill. For assuredly I say to you, till heaven and earth pass away, one jot or one tittle will by no means pass from the law till all is fulfilled. Yahushua is Yahuwah's law made flesh. Therefore, rejecting the law of Yahuwah means rejecting the Messiah. In Matthew 7 verse 21 to 23 it says, Not everyone who says to me, Master, Master, shall enter the kingdom of heaven, but he who does the will of my Father in heaven. Many will say to me in that day, Master, Master, have we not prophesied in your name, cast out demons in your name, and done many wonders in your name? And I will declare to them, I never knew you. Depart from me, you who practice lawlessness. This also shows that you can't be gay and go to heaven. Being gay is a sin, and therefore it is lawlessness. Matthew 7 verse 24 to 25. Therefore whoever hears these sayings of mine and does them, I will liken him to a wise man who built his house on a rock. And the rain descended, and the floods came, and the winds blew and beat on that house, and it did not fall, for it was founded on the rock. Yahuwah's commandments should be our foundation, and we should not base our judgment or our moral code on anything else. By making his Torah our foundation, our rock, we know what is right and wrong, and therefore we show Yahuwah that we care enough to change our ways, give up our sin, and obey him. I wanted to share some interesting verses from the book of Nazareth. I know this book isn't in the Bible, but I believe it to be inspired by Elohim. Book of Nazareth, chapter 7, verse 7 to 8. While eating, Yahushua said, No man of himself can know right from wrong. For what is right in one man's eyes may be wrong in another's. Therefore strife arises among them. Only when men accept a single standard of judgment and abide by it can there be peace. When men live together without the light of the Torah, they are like a house built with unmortared bricks, or like men trying to tow a boat but all pulling in different directions. There are two laws, the law of men and the Torah of the Father who is in heaven. When I speak of the Torah, I do not mean the law of men. I am the light illuminating Yahuwah's Torah so men see it more clearly. And though I fulfill the Torah, I do not change it. Never say this is right or that is wrong, but only this is right or wrong according to the Torah and in the light of Yahushua. Again, we should not base our moral code on the laws of men, and allowing homosexuality is a law of man, not of Yahuwah. Book of Nazim, chapter 9, verse 41. I have not come to abolish the Torah or to change the teachings of the prophets, but to complete them, adding any necessary clarification and interpreting them to the understanding of men. But the time has come to ask, when will they be put into practice? When will men bring Yahuwah out of the temple and make him a participant in their daily lives? When will men carry these things in their hearts and stop paying them lip service? These things Yahushua said here are very true. When will people stop claiming they believe in Yahuwah but turn their backs on him by accepting homosexuality? When will they stop paying him lip service, since this is not what Yahuwah wants? He wants people to believe in him and his son, and that Yahushua is the only way, but also wants them to obey his commands and his words. Saying that you believe does not show your love of Elohim, but obeying his commands even when it gets tough, even when people come after you for telling the truth, that shows him that you really care about. I've heard Christians preach that Yahuwah does not care about your sexual orientation and that you can still go to heaven even if you are someone in the LGBTQ community. By now, you should already be able to guess what my response would be to this, and that is that you can't go to heaven if you committed any sexual immoral acts. I understand if you ask for forgiveness for your past actions and don't commit them anymore, but I'm talking about those that don't feel sorry at all and are not willing to change. Loving Yahuwah is all about sacrificing things out of your life. Remember that verse in Matthew that said, and if your right hand causes you to sin, cut it off and cast it from you, for it is more profitable for you to that one of your members perish than for your whole body to be cast into hell. That is what it means to sacrifice sins out of your life. Sure, it is hard to get rid of habitual sins, but it will be all worth it in the end. Book of Nazim says that only the clean can come into the presence of Yahuwah. And if you commit the sin of homosexuality, you are by no means clean, but are unclean. Therefore, you cannot go to heaven, but if you do not change your sexual immoral ways. I'm sorry, but that is the truth. Chapter 17, verse 23 to 24 of the Book of Nazim also supports this. The rich man said, "Where's the kingdom of heaven, and how do I get there?" Yahushua said, "The road starts within yourself, but to find it you must abide by the Torah, as it is written in the books of wisdom. For knowledge of the Torah provides a true and clear image of yourself. Just as a mirror reflects back a true image, so does the Torah when studied diligently. Let this be your guiding light. Take no thought for tomorrow, whether it bring good or bring evil. The cares of the day are sufficient, and the Torah will sustain you." When the man asked what he should do to get into the kingdom of heaven, Yahushua told him to abide by the Torah, as it is written in the holy books. And the Torah condemns homosexuality. Also in Matthew 7 verse 21 to 23 it says, "Not everyone who says to me, Master, Master, shall enter the kingdom of heaven, but he who does the will of my Father in heaven." And Yahuwah's will is the commandments. Many will say to me in that day, "Master, Master, have we not prophesied in your name, cast out demons in your name, and done many wonders in your name?" And then I will declare to them, "I never knew you. Depart from me, you who practice lawlessness." As I have said before, lawlessness means breaking the Torah of Yahuwah, and the Torah condemns homosexuality. Matthew 13, verse 41 to 42. "The Son of Man will send out his angels, and they will gather out of his kingdom all things that offend, and those who practice lawlessness, and will cast them into the furnace of fire. There will be wailing and gnashing of teeth." According to this, those who practice lawlessness will not go to heaven, but will face punishments for the sins they committed on earth. Should we listen to people or to Yahuwah? The answer is simple: Yahuwah. As it says in Jeremiah 17 verse 9, "The heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. Who can know it?" Yahuwah is pure and just, therefore his word is more important than anything a person might say. Therefore, I would just like to remind people that if any person claims they have received a dream from Yahuwah, but that dream goes against the commandments of Yahuwah, it is false and we should not listen to them. Sometimes they do not know what they are saying is false, and therefore we should pray for them. However, you must keep in mind that Satan is the father of lies and will certainly use any weakness against you. If he knows that you rely more on dreams or signs than the Bible, he will definitely try and deceive you by giving you a dream or having you listen to someone who claims they had a dream that was not according to the Torah of Yahuwah. John 8 verse 44. You are of your father the devil, and the desires of your father you want to do. He was a murderer from the beginning, and does not stand with the truth, because there is no truth in him. When he speaks a lie, he speaks from his own resources, for he is a liar and the father of it. Deuteronomy 13 verse 1 to 5. If there arises among you a prophet or a dreamer of dreams, and he gives you a sign or a wonder, and the sign or the wonder comes to pass, of which he spoke to you, saying, Let us go after other gods, which you have not known, and let us serve them, you shall not listen to the words of that prophet or that dreamer of dreams. For Yahuwah your Elohim is testing you to know whether you love Yahuwah your Elohim with all your heart and with all your soul. You shall walk after Yahuwah your Elohim and fear him, and keep his commandments and obey his voice. You shall serve him and hold fast to him. But that prophet or that dreamer of dreams shall be put to death, because he has spoken in order to turn you away from Yahuwah your Elohim, who brought you out of the land of Egypt and redeemed you from the house of bondage, to entice you to walk the way in which Yahuwah your Elohim commanded from the way in which Yahuwah your Elohim commanded you to walk. So you shall put away the evil from your midst. You should be careful what you teach, and that includes me. I try to preach things that accord with Yahuwah's Torah, since I don't want to preach lies. However, some people think they teach good things, yet they don't know they are deceived. Therefore, it is very dangerous to say things are acceptable that do not accord with the commandments of Yahuwah. Isaiah 5 verse 20. Woe to those who call evil good and good evil, who put darkness for light and light for darkness, who put bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter. Matthew 18 verse 6 to 7. But whoever causes one of these little ones who believe in me to sin, it would be better for him if a millstone were hung around his neck and he were drowned in the depth of the sea. Woe to the world because of offenses, for offenses must come, but woe to the man by whom the offense comes. Matthew 5 verse 19. Whoever therefore breaks the least of these commandments and teaches men so shall be called the least in the kingdom of heaven. But whoever does and teaches them shall be called great in the kingdom of heaven. As you can see, great responsibility goes with teaching others, especially when it is about spiritual matters. Therefore, we should make sure we do not endanger other people's lives by teaching them lies that could send them to hell. It is better to tell people the cold hard truth than sweet lies. Lies like telling them that you don't have to change your way of life or break free from the sin of homosexuality. Saying things like that goes against the Torah of Yahuwah, and therefore you do not only endanger their lives but also your own life. Book of Natsum, chapter 9, verse 30. Woe to all who hear my words but twist their meaning to suit their convenience. If a man says he is with me but does not abide by my teachings, then he is a hypocrite. If he says, but I live in circumstances where this does not apply, he is a liar. Far better that such as these say, we are against you, for until they do, the world will not be reborn. I know a lot of people won't agree with what I said and won't accept the Torah, and I pray for those that don't want to listen. But you have to remember, the truth isn't always rainbows and sunshine. The truth isn't always something you want to hear, but just because you don't want to believe it or accept it doesn't mean it is not true. There are many people that claim they are Christians but preach that Jehovah does not care if you're trans or if you're gay, and that is an absolute lie. I would rather accept the truth, even if it is not pretty, and change. I mean, isn't it better than accepting lies and having to face the consequences after death? At the end of the day, if you really want to serve Yahuwah, you should keep his commandments and not be like the hypocrites Yahushua talks about in the book of Nahum, chapter 13, verse 57. Some self-righteous people who pick pieces out of the Torah to suit their convenience, as a child picked segments from a pomegranate and lived by these, ridiculed Yahushua. So what can we do about it then? How can we help people? Well, in Matthew 5 verse 44, Yahushua says, "But I say to you, love your enemies, bless those who curse you, do good to those who hate you, and pray for those who spitefully use you and persecute you." In the book of Nahum, chapter 9 verse 40, Yahushua also says, "Love your enemies, but not their faults. Love those who hate you, but concede nothing to their wickedness. Give without expectation of return, then only can you lay claim to goodness and be called a servant of Yahuwah." We should pray for those who struggle with homosexuality or any sin. We should preach to them and try to help them just like Yahushua says. However, there's a difference between helping them change and accepting them. Yahushua clearly states we should not accept their way of life or their sins. And I thank Yahuwah that He gave me the words and the resources to make this video, and I pray that people will listen.